My name is Christian Wessels, and I'm the co-founder and president of Daystar Power. I am also the director of Endeavor Nigeria. First, let me say, establishing and scaling up a company in Nigeria is great fun, actually. It's a great opportunity to be here in Nigeria. So therefore, when I address the challenges, I would like to see it still in the context of that it is an amazing journey that a country makes possible that has over 200 million people, in which people are really hardworking, and generally a spirit of entrepreneurship is everywhere and all around us in places like Lagos and frankly any other city, another place in Nigeria. As for the challenges that entrepreneurs are facing when scaling up the business, I would actually separate between those that are fully in control of the entrepreneurs and those which come from the environment. I think typical challenges of entrepreneurs are everywhere in the world probably the same, which are how to move an idea as quickly as possible to money, and how to really think very systematically around strategy, organization, key processes, all with the view of serving the customers of this new endeavor. So therefore, this is very much in the hand of an entrepreneur. Just being systematic in it, thinking forward, and really having the clients really at the heart of what we're doing. The things that come from the environment are indeed challenges, and I would say funding is a challenge. For many of the startup companies and scale-up companies in Nigeria, obtaining funding is really problematic. Banks play little or no role, and there is not a big enough market for venture capital, respectively private equity. And the second challenge is, in a market like Nigeria, unlike other economies in the world, when we establish companies, we often need to integrate them and vertically integrate them to provide actually services ourselves, which in other markets could be easily outsourced. One example, I'm from Germany, and if you want to outsource payroll, then this is without any problems at very low cost, readily available. If you are like Daystar Power in the business of renewable energy, you would have numerous companies that could help you roll out these projects at a high quality. But because this isn't there, often we need to do much more than companies in other markets to, in the end, deliver a product to our customers. So we need to take care of the entire value chain, whilst in more progressed economies, we can focus on one part of the value chain. Yeah, I would actually start with defining a clear strategy. A clear strategy that starts with the founder developing its own ambition really, and articulating really what he wants to achieve long-term with the company. This is the basis also for his communication to the entire team, to customers, to potential investors, to really all stakeholders. It is then to define a clear strategy which starts with exactly this ambition statement and vision, and then articulates very clearly where the company wants to focus and how this company wants to win in the market. In a different version, how to actually win customers in what specific field and how to be better than the competition. So this is a starting point. And I think then very quickly, I think it's important as we scale up to take governance very serious. And governance is both governance for decisions, to have clear processes on how decisions are being taken, on reporting, how we report on performance, and lastly, how we also report and plan for financial performance. I think at the heart of all of this is really to have the cash flow statement with you and really update it regularly. So I don't think that you can successfully scale up a company when you say, I'm not so interested in numbers, let's leave this to some finance people. I think you should be at the heart of your financial model and also particularly at the heart of the cash flow. And then my last comment would be, I think as you scale up, get ready that you are really at the forefront of defending your company. I think you need to be a lion and lioness to make it all happen, and it's very possible. But there are many people who will actually en route to become a large and super successful company that will really try to maybe take you for a ride. Maybe their services are not great, maybe contracts are one-sided. So you need to be really so much into it that you defend your company against all those type of challenges. One little tip, particularly in the Nigerian context, I do appreciate, after having been in the country more than 15 years, I guess soon even 20 years, I do appreciate that there are challenges. But I wouldn't keep yourself busy in criticizing these challenges or even ascribing reasons of success or less success of your company to the Nigerian environment, because I think in establishing a company, I think Nigeria is an absolutely amazing environment to scale up businesses. So it's really on us as entrepreneurs to make this happen. Yeah, I think in order to sustain growth in very competitive markets, we have to be better than our competition. And the being better often derives from better serving our clients. So I think it's very important that we think very hard what is important to our clients, that we stay in dialogue, that we have constant feedback loops from our clients. And that is really the starting point for everything else. So let's never make the mistake that it's ultimately to serve us as the companies, or even worse, as entrepreneurs. I think the purpose of the entire thing still and will always remain for successful businesses to serve our customers. So if we get that part right, usually you find an avenue that this is also rewarded by customers and will differentiate you. Now, with my background, I shall say, I think if you do this in a very reliable way, and you do this in a very professional way, if you do this along your vision statement that typically should include actually why you founded the company in the first place, then you will probably be very successful. Endeavor is a global organization, but particularly Endeavor Nigeria has been absolutely pivotal to our success. When we realized how important Endeavor could be for my co-founder and me at Daystar Power, we really made every effort to make it through the selection panels, because we understood that actually Endeavor is all around the entrepreneurs and supporting us to become successful. So it was this organization that we realized is actually fully keyed into the same idea that we have, that it is important to scale up our company, to have a multiplier effect in the economy, to pay forward ultimately, which is why we love to work with other startup entrepreneurs, slowly becoming scale-up entrepreneurs. We love to support the scale-up program. So Endeavor has been incredibly important to us when it comes to, number one, the training that we enjoyed, number two, the connectivity, but number three, really as the team that is definitely on your side to master all challenges. And that extends to the local Endeavor team, that is a global Endeavor team, and that's a large number of very amazing mentors and supporters that Endeavor has, for instance, here in Nigeria, that have been absolutely stunning. And I want to give you one example. At some point we needed some legal support, maybe 4 or 5 years ago, when the company was much smaller. A mentor of Endeavor took time really in his holiday with his family. It was the 25th of December when, without any question, he joined a call with 3 of his partner colleagues to advise us on an important matter. back in the days in the context of fundraising. And I thought it was so unbelievably awesome of this person to support us, even though he was on holiday with his family. And he did this on behalf of Endeavor in his capacity as a mentor for Endeavor. So for us, the whole journey was amazing. We were very honored to also become Endeavor outliers. And I think that is something that was really unique. That was really amazing for then also peer connectivity to other entrepreneurs from other, from Nigeria, but also from other countries and other continents. I think 2025 would be a very interesting year, because after there were numerous challenges also from the macroeconomic perspective, I think we get a sense that maybe we have more stability in 2025 to actually focus on delivering a great product to our clients. And when it comes to the tech sector, I think we have all the ingredients to make that happen. We have an amazing group of entrepreneurs. We have stellar successes already. We have a huge market. We have a country that has been multiple times actually demonstrated how it can leapfrog the slow development of others. I think there's a lot of openness for new solutions. So I think 2025 may be actually a really good year. Having said all this, let's kind of meet again in the end of 2025, how it really went, but I'm actually optimistic. And I wish everybody who is in this all the best for the year.
My name is Sugar Obi. I'm the founder of Malio Games. We're a mobile games development studio based in Lagos, Nigeria. Our goal is to create African-inspired games for players both in Africa and around the world. I mean, Endeavor is a great network. I know quite a few companies, especially within Nigeria, who are part of the Endeavor network and also globally. They're well respected. The Scale Up program is really a platform for, I guess, the next generation of potential Endeavor entrepreneurs. Yeah, I guess the Scale Up program is a pipeline for Endeavor entrepreneurs. And for us, I think it was a perfect time because we're also scaling up our business. So being part of the network, I think, is great in terms of the people that you meet, the knowledge that you can get from these really successful companies, and how we can apply that as we scale up our business. So I would say my expectations for joining the Endeavor program was, first of all, is meeting both Endeavor entrepreneurs and also meeting other companies within the Scale Up program. I think definitely learning from the experiences and successes that some of these companies have had. Because most of the people that we meet are people who operate within the market that we operate out of. So I think there's shared learnings that we can get from them. And then I think the last thing is the ability to share some of our experiences and also benchmark that against some of the knowledge that we're getting. So I think that has been those were my expectations for joining the program. And so far it has really met my expectations. Oh no, absolutely. It certainly has helped me start to think about specific challenges as you scale. As I mentioned earlier, we are at the point of scaling, and I think that the timing of this couldn't have been better for us. As we grow from a few 100,000 users, getting to 1 million, and then pushing beyond the 1 million. So the lessons that I'm gaining here is enabling me to think about what those potential future challenges are going to look like. I'm putting systems and measures in place to start to address them early on. So that's been the real benefit here in terms of the things that I'm thinking about and the way that I'm thinking about them. We haven't had enough time to apply them. Some of them subtly, but certainly we'll continue to take those notes and refer to them as we put those processes in place. I mean, I think the Endeavor team, I think that's been the most insightful. They're very supportive, they're very caring, they're ever present. I had a visit from the team to our studio, and that was great. But I think just feeling like you're part of a network, feeling like you're part of a family, like feeling that you're part of something that stands for something very meaningful. I think like that's been great, and really feeling it through the sessions that we've had, meeting the Endeavor entrepreneurs who have been the ones leading those sessions, getting a bird's eye view about how they run their businesses. Very quite varying perspectives because their businesses are quite different. So that's really insightful and very, very helpful. I would say that the most challenging part about, there's several challenging aspects to building a business, right? I think, finding a good team, getting product market fit, like generating sustainable revenue. But I would say that the biggest challenge is access to capital. And the reason why I say that, I don't think capital is the most important thing that businesses need. I think, if anything, capital sometimes could be not ideal for businesses at certain stages. But I think knowing that when you do need that capital, that it is there, can be reassuring. And knowing that there is a framework to make that capital accessible can be reassuring, even if you don't go for it, and even if you don't need it. But in a market where you see successful businesses struggling to find capital, you see growing businesses struggling to find capital, you look at the market and there isn't quite sufficient mechanisms to sort of like inject capital to support businesses and help businesses grow. I think that could be the detriment, because what that means is that businesses that might potentially be doing 100 million just stay doing 10 million or 5 million, right? Businesses that could be doing $1 billion just remain doing like 50 to 100 million. And if those capital was accessible, then those businesses could flourish. They could also tank, let's be honest. But at least like knowing that there is that capital, that framework or that landscape that provides the capital needed to grow businesses and create jobs, I think that's the biggest challenge. 2025 for us is very simple. Our goal is to reach 1 million users. That's the North Star. And that is really the start of the next phase for us, because the moment we hit 1 million, we go for 10 million. The moment we hit 10 million, we go for 100 million. So by 2030, we should be at 100 million users. That's the goal. And really be truly a global company, which was always the aspiration for us.
My name is Peter Bono. I lead the growth team at Field Intelligence. We are primarily a supply chain technology company. We build software for large-scale supply chain systems, and we move physical commodities of pharmaceutical products in Nigeria and Kenya for now. Or I'm another entrepreneur. I think there's a couple of them. Just speaking from personal experience, there's a couple of them. One of them would be around documentation. I think documentation is probably an under-recognized but very massive problem people face as they try to scale their operations and as they go on. So there's definitely that. And just building a culture around proper documentation and utilizing documentation. I think there's going to be issues around figuring out what kind of data is important to the business, so you're tracking the right things and using that to make the right decisions. I think there's a third piece about just really understanding what business you're in, what the levers are, what the levers you need to pull are, what kind of requirements you have within your context. I think it will be a mix somewhere in the middle of all of these things. A lot of that session was really to get people to realize that some of the problems they are facing are not unique to them. And so part of the things we're just talking through and sharing from my experience, but also getting the participants to share from their experiences, how a lot of these challenges are the same. So look at documentation, how you get your teams to engage, breaking information silos, storage of information, how you think about data, how you try to pull, or what you do with all that data, how you use that information to drive your business and determine the kind of things you want to do with your business. I think those things would be the high points of the conversation. I think the first and maybe one of the most important things is just to write everything down. Like really write everything down. Make sure you can go back to them, make reference to them, but update it, right? Update the thinking, update the outcomes, update what you've learned. Really doing that is key. I think it's really underestimated how having good documentation process, good review process can really help you identify problem areas, solve those problem areas, but not like begin to attack those problem areas. I mean, I think this part of it has been super interesting because one of the things that Endeavor does very well is exposes you to people who have walked the journey. And so being able to tap into a global network of people who have done a lot of the things that you're trying to do means that you can learn from experiences, mistakes, and you can try to avoid making some of those mistakes yourself as you go on. That I would say is the single biggest thing that Endeavor's done. If you are able to, I don't like to say, I would call it teach, but pass on some of the information. I think that a lot of entrepreneurship is very glamorized and people don't talk about the hard part of it. So just really going into these conversations and having open, honest conversations about what it takes to do the things that you want to do and what you need to think about. I think that helps to set the right stage so people can understand that it's going to be a tough, long, hard journey. So, yeah. You're dealing with very hard, very complex, very old problems with entrenched interests. Needs a lot of money, so it's very capital intensive. You need to find a lot of talent. It's talent dense, you need a lot of talent. But you're also dealing with infrastructure challenges that are beyond your direct control. So you have to find ways to create multiple redundancies in plan A, B, C, D, and E, just to account for some infrastructural challenges that you probably wouldn't have to deal with elsewhere. So a combination of those three things. The most exciting things are there's expansion, there's growth, and so that's what it is for me. I think that a lot of teething problems and challenges have been figured out. I mean, teething is relative considering the amount of time, but I think 2025 becomes the year like we start to launch out and do some of the things we've always wanted to do as well. So yeah, that would be it.
Hi, my name is John Oamen. I'm the CEO and co-founder at Construct Technology. We're a building materials marketplace that has also evolved into a procurement platform for building materials that caters to real estate financiers and multiple real estate stakeholders. Yeah, I mean, when I looked into sort of like the network of people that were there, you know, an old saying came to me where they say, you know, your network is your net worth, and I just like, I have to be part of this. I think importantly, building a B2B business, we see, you know, how significant relationships can be. And so when I was reached out to by the Endeavor team, it occurred to me that this is a place where I want to be. So I think that's one of the biggest things. I think the other thing that I find worthy of note is that they say like a wise man learns from his mistakes, a wiser man learns from the mistakes of others. Just seeing other founders who have done what I'm about to do or what I'm doing at the moment, I thought it might be a good place to be, to learn, you know, from their battle scars and hopefully save myself some. In terms of expectation, I guess I was sort of like an open book. Didn't really have any heavy expectations. I think for me, it was really just come see, come learn, come see how much value that you can get and potentially also give. In terms of how I feel now, I'm excited because I've met other founders who are going through similar things, and some of the knowledge sharing sessions have been very, very insightful. So I'm excited to be part of the Endeavor team. The program has definitely helped us, you know, address certain challenges. I remember, you know, one of the conversations where myself and my co-founder just looked at ourselves like, we were facing a challenge right there at the moment and thinking of how to deal with a certain, you know, specific issue that was talked about by another founder. And we just found it really insightful. Thinking about it now, it may have cost us a lot, you know, figuring that out ourselves, and just knowing that somebody else has gone through that and getting sort of like tips on as to how to, go through it was really, really useful. I'll definitely do it again if I had another chance. I think importantly, the fact that, Construct, we're on a very sort of rapid growth trajectory generally, even before we joined the program. We feel like, just sort of like to my last point, avoiding some of the pitfalls of scaling, is one of the biggest things that we're getting from here, and we feel like this is positioning us to scale faster with less scars. Business is tough. It will always be tough. Scaling is tough. It will always be tough. But just, sort of being able to avoid certain pitfalls, we feel like would help our scale, our growth and our scale, happen, faster and maybe with less, stress, less battle scars, if you know what I mean. The toughest thing about running a business in construction is people. When you talk about innovation, you talk about thinking outside the box. What is a box? A box is a profession. I deal in a business where almost everybody is a professional who has done something a certain way for 30 years. And all of a sudden, Construct is coming to say innovation. And people are sort of just in that box where they feel like things can only be done a certain way. I think people is the toughest part of my business. The beautiful thing, regardless, is that if you're able to know them enough and solve their problems, then over time, you start to get heavy accolades. So I think the toughest thing in building a construction business is just the norm. When I talk to other founders in the space who are competitors, I say we're not yet competing. We're first of all competing with mindsets, right? We're all still dancing around 10% of the market. When we have 100%, then let's come back to competition. For now, the toughest thing is the mindsets that exist and sort of seeing how to penetrate them, and then effect the change that you're bringing through your company. One of the biggest things that happened for Construct last year was us sort of gaining clarity as to the direction of our strategy. And so I think the most exciting thing for us is, one, being able to understand what we're about to do, more clearly. We also just got capitalized, so we just got funded. Having the funds to actually execute on the mandate that we have set to do, that's kind of like the most interesting thing for us. We had 4 years of just sort of figuring it out with very lean cash, but being able to understand, our strategy a lot better now, and then also have the funding and the backing from very, very great investors and, brilliant minds, to hack the strategy and to do it with, is sort of like the most interesting thing that we're looking forward to this year.
My name is Ayobami Olajide, a Senior Associate of Entrepreneur Selection and Growth here at Endeavor Nigeria. The selection process for this scale-up program is part of a year-long journey to understand the status of startups in the ecosystem. As part of our initiatives, we want to actually meet the ecosystem at the stage where it is, not one that we hope to be. And in so doing, we enlisted the help of our mentors, our current Endeavor entrepreneurs who are building great solutions across financial services, building great solutions in health tech to help us to identify the next generation of scale-up founders. This scale-up cohort just shows the width of Nigeria's entrepreneurial expression. It's not just drawn from one vertical as we see with fundraising. We have chosen startups from construction to creative industries to clean tech, amongst others. These folks are distinguished operators in their right. We've selected them because they've done what it takes to build a business from 0 to 1, and we want to help them 10x their business from there. The most important part is that we've also filled a critical gap that's fueled Nigeria's entrepreneurial discourse, and we're happy to report that we have about 3 female founders in this particular cohort. So that gives me particular excitement about the composition of the scale-up program. And it also ties to what we actually want to do at Endeavor. So Endeavor is located in 42 markets. We actually believe that entrepreneurship can thrive outside of the major Western narrative and Silicon Valley. And the unique challenges here are actually around things like how do you build from 0 to 1, how do you actually scale your business, how do you attract funding, how do you build a board, things around corporate governance, and all of those things are actually unique to our ecosystem, and we hope that we are able to, fill those critical, operational gaps that will help them go from where they are now, to hopefully 10x in their growth. The impact that we hope that the Scale Up program will have on the long term is actually predicated on 3 things that we've seen. The first is that we have seen that a lot of founders actually are unable to go from 0 to 1, and there are a lot of programs that are doing that. They are solving that problem for 0 to 1. But how do we take people that want to go from 1 to 10? Because Endeavor traditionally as a company caters for companies that are already growth stage startups. So how do we have companies in the middle to actually grow from that? And it deals with a lot of things like what does it mean to build for scale? What does it mean to manage operations? What does it mean to lead a team? What does it mean to assemble a board? So we hope to fill those knowledge gaps. The second is also to show that Nigeria has a width of entrepreneurial expression. If you look at Africa's fundraising landscape, most of the funding goes to fintech. But if you look at our Scale Up program, we have companies that are building in creative industries, companies that are redefining the traditional, that are just bringing innovation into traditional industries like construction. We also have like clean tech, and it is our hope that we'll continue to spotlight builders in these very unique verticals. And the last one is we also are looking to also bring a paradigm shift in how startups are seen. Very currently, only 2% of funding goes to female, but we are building an ecosystem where we're able to identify female founders that are going to build the next generation of startups that will define Africa's landscape. This is the hope that I really know that the Endeavor Scale Up by Endeavor is out to solve in the ecosystem, and it is actually going to realize that Scale Up Cohort after Scale Up Cohort, we are yet to transform potential into high impact. We are Scale Up by Endeavor.
Hi, I'm Emmanuel Olukomi. I'm CEO and co-founder of Tramango. Tramango.com is a travel tech company simplifying travel for individuals, African startups, and businesses. My name is Ayobami Akenuga. I'm CEO at Tramango.com. Tramango.com is a travel tech company simplifying travel for Africans. We're here to make sure Africans can travel as simple as they can, seeing travel as a different experience, expressing their rights for travel, their right to travel as Africans, making sure Africans can see as beautiful as the world is from their point of view, really. What inspired us to join the Scale Up by Endeavor program? Really, it's because we're actually in the process of scaling, so it just came at the right time for us, and I think the experience has really been great. Yeah. So, what inspired us to join Scale Up by Endeavor? First thing, I'll say the association to the Endeavor community, looking at the companies, the body, the mentors, the persons associated to Endeavor. I mean, we're good thing to be associated to Endeavor too. And Scale Up, we are in the stage where we're trying to 10x what we did last year. And when we say 10x, not just in terms of revenue, 10x in terms of better culture, customer experience, tidying up our finance, our frameworks, a couple of other things, making sure as a company we're better for more and good. So, and that's what the Scale Up Endeavor, when we're trying to get in, sound like. So that's one of the things that put us to it. My expectations, okay, I'd like to be honest here, right? So, most accelerators, or let me not say some accelerators, some residency bodies when it comes to startups, sometimes when you get in, I mean, we have founder friends, so we know the results that come from getting into these things. Some are just mere classes, not so much value. We not been a part of anyone yet, sort of put our expectation at a minimum. We're not sure of what to expect, especially hearing from our friends that have been in other sort of incubator, acceleration process, of those things. So I mean, expression was on minimum level, but something that took it up was me coming to the Endeavor office. So I visited the Endeavor office once before even applying for or coming into the scale up. So when I visited the Endeavor office, I mean the environment, the ambience, even the value we got from that short visit sort of took my expectations up to what we will see being a part of any of Endeavor's initiative, really.
Okay, so I think this also goes back to the question you previously asked, and I think every session during the program has been, eye-opening. Has given us like some sort of, you know what, after this session you have to do some sort of self-reflection, because after every session just felt like it came at the right time. I mean, from the, when I said AWS session, the one we had, it came at the right time. We were trying to beat down our AWS cost, and we implemented some of the things, that was discussed, and good thing, we were able to beat our cost down by 30%. Like, we just had to do like basic things and that they said during the session, and it worked. And even down to the one we just had now, the compliance session, it was really great because, it opened our eyes to different things here, so.
It is difficult to pick the most for me because every session has been a good one. As I said, right, every session came as leaving us with to do for every step we're at, and it was, I don't believe a coincidence, but it was sort of coincidental that every section we came, it was addressing a particular issue we had going on in our office at the same time. From the AWS to the finance to the framework to the scaling up to this last session around compliance. Yeah, some of these sessions give us valuable insights on regulation, on the impact of why we have to have advisory boards, on our mindsets, on how we need to tidy up our finance. So it's very difficult to pick the most insightful because every section has left me with something very important that I need to do concerning my startup if I genuinely desire to scale up. How do we desire to scale up? Yeah. Starting the year, why the scale up by Endeavor program is important to us because it really aligns with our vision for this year. As a company, we set our target to be 10x where we ended the previous year, and 10x not just growth, revenue, 10x concerning everything, 10x concerning our work culture, better customer experience, better products, better revenue, and that's really where we're going to be at the end of this year. And we're happy the scale up by Endeavor program has given us like useful materials that aligns with our vision. So after this, we just expect to be 10x where we were before the program started, really. Yes, we have made valuable insights, but I'm looking forward to more. Yeah, I'm looking forward to more. I'm looking forward to more relationship. Yes, I have a new friend about me from Sycamore. I didn't know about him before. We're even in a business community, but meeting him here, good relationship. John from Construct, yeah. I think John and I finished from the same university, so good to meet like an alumni of university here. A product I've been admiring, yeah, Tix, follow me for Tix. That's one I would like to build valuable relationship. So far, even the Endeavor team, yeah, Alabama, my account manager, yeah, give me like Esther, so valuable insights, so valuable relationship. So I'll say yes. I'm a relationship person, so when I say yes, sort of door because of I've not gotten like all I want, which I'm sure I'll still get as time goes on. Really.
So if I wasn't building Tramango, I'll be building great products. Yes.
If I was not building Tramango, I'll be a world-class chef. Yeah. I love food so much. I'm a chef, so I'm still a chef, but Tramango is now my new food that I cook every day. world-class chef, traveling around the world, exploring cuisines and all of those things, but I'm still sure I'll go back to that. I need to make my tramango money, so when I travel, I can eat with so much joy and no stress.
Hello, I'm Yinka Idu. I am a partner at Udo Domambilo Sage. I also run ULaw, which is a startup-focused law firm. I am an Endeavor mentor. So I think that the main thing is the sort of proliferation, I guess, of rules and of obligations. It's very difficult for a startup to keep track of the obligations that they have, the compliance obligations that they have. That can be very challenging. And as a small company, you often don't have a dedicated compliance professional that is assisting with that. So keeping track of changing rules and ensuring that you are able to meet those obligations, that can be challenging. I think that it's certainly something that I think that a lot of people struggle with. I think that the Scale Up program is a great program. I actually think that it's a wonderful opportunity to inspire, I think, even more than anything else, to inspire startups to really look at growing. I think that the Endeavor network is such a rich network. Having access to that is incredible. I think also meeting other startups that have been screened in the same way, that have been looked upon, that have the potential, is a great opportunity. I think even amongst themselves, they can hack solutions for some of these things, for some of the issues they have around compliance. How have they dealt with it? Which contacts have been useful? How do they track things? That type of thing. But also having access to Endeavor mentors, Endeavor staff who have seen it all before. I think that's a huge opportunity. I think one of the big things that we talked about in my session was the difference between a hustler mindset and a builder's mindset. And so it's very important if as a startup you're looking to build something, you're looking at your legacy, you're looking at building something that will outlast you, then it's very important that you have the right mindset. Obviously, there's always the challenge of growth, there's always the challenge of profitability, but if you are a startup, an entrepreneur, rather than simply a hustler, then you've got the additional consideration of how to build something that is solid, that lasts, that is compliant, and that meets the sort of impact targets that you've set for yourselves. I would say keep talking to people. I would say ask questions, keep talking. There are lots of solutions out there, whether tech solutions, whether legal tech solutions, whether advice, just connections. I think keep talking. I think it's important that compliance remains at the forefront of what you do. I think you need to, if you intend to grow and to build something lasting, then it's very important that you do that. But I think there are ways to do it more cheaply and more sort of strategically that people tend to do. I think people with the fear of the expense and the cost of doing certain things will shy away from it. One of the things we discussed, for example, was around governance, the fact that governance doesn't necessarily have to be expensive, and that you can start small with governance. You can look at putting systems in place, checks and balances, codes of conduct, various different things that build on your governance. So when you hear governance, don't be put off and think, oh, well, I can't do what big multinationals are doing, and therefore I won't do anything at all. But there are much smaller things that you can put in place, things you can do that start building that culture of governance. I think that I was telling somebody recently, actually, that I think that I now consider myself a a business matchmaker. I think that one of the big things I've learned from the Endeavour process and being an Endeavour mentor is the fact that you're always striving to leave everybody that you meet with some benefit, have some sort of impact on them, whether it is introducing them to somebody you know, maybe making a suggestion, etc. I think if you're committed to this sector, then we all want it to work. It's not just about what favors you, if you like, but it's about how do we make this a vibrant, growing, successful sector where startups grow and impact the country, really. So I think that the big thing for me is that how do we all do that? How do we all add our voice? How do we add our influence? How do we use our connections just to make that work? Wow, if I wasn't doing, I wish I could be an entrepreneur. I'm a closet entrepreneur, I think. I think I would do it. Who knows? It might not be too late.
My name is Babatunde Akimoses. I'm CEO of Sycamore. Sycamore is a peer-to-peer lending platform that connects lenders to borrowers, and our objective is to empower African businesses. So I've always known Endeavour for quite a while, a few years actually, and I've always admired the kind of entrepreneurs that I've seen on the network, right? There are a lot of the kind of entrepreneurs that some of us aspire to either learn from or actually be like. So having Endeavour, I've always known Endeavour for excellence, right? Because I've associated a lot of the entrepreneurs that have been associated with Endeavour. So to be part of that, I thought it was a very good opportunity. So the opportunity to learn from that excellence and even just to connect with some of the entrepreneurs that I know are in the network, I thought it was a fabulous opportunity. So I said yes right away. Yeah, I really didn't know what to expect from the program, because I'm like, oh, is this Endeavour? I said, no, it's not Endeavour. Scale up. I said, what's a scale up? Or is it a program? The younger brother before the senior brother, stuff like that. So I wasn't very 100% sure. So I sort of kept an open mind. But I would say to that extent, my expectations have been surpassed so far. Because I think we've been learning a lot of practicality. People have been telling us how the food is actually being made. It's not very theoretical. There's not been any fluff. We are getting real life insights from real entrepreneurs. And the fact that it's a relatively small class, there's been an opportunity to sort of ask very specific questions, get specific answers, and I think that is priceless. I think I was sort of really impressed and surprised in a positive way for how technical the first session was. It was all about our technology operations, and I really wish that some of my technology team was actually in that session. Again, it was very specific, and I got a lot of good insights for how to even structure our DevOps operations. And I think, from subsequent sessions, there's been a lot of learnings around like people management and operations, right? And these are, again, very specific insights, because people are saying how they've sort of grown from 0 to 1. So a lot of insights about people management and operations. And I think something I've also specifically learned is also really about setting very specific and audacious goals. And I really love, one of the sessions with Mr. Christian, about really how they started their business, set some specific goals, and eventually exited the business, right? Just having somebody walk you through that process, just sort of set off a light bulb moment in my head around how you should set very specific goals using a very good framework and having that practicality of going from 0 to exit. I thought was quite good. Yeah, I think there are a lot of things to apply. Again, I've spoken about goals, I've spoken about people management. I got a lot of insights from the session today on how to think about managing people, especially about alignment. We spoke about that today, right? Because you are managing a set of people, they are thinking something, you have expectations of them, and closing that gap is how you make progress, right? So I think I'm leaving with a lot of insights for how to work better with my people, set audacious goals, and a lot more, more specific technical learnings. So yeah, those are some of the things that apply to my business from today. I think, so we're in the financial services business, we're in a fintech, but it's still financial services at the core of it. So there is dealing with regulators not easy. Regulators are more or less very important stakeholders. They determine a lot of the things that we do. So really managing regulators not easy. And because we also have a credit business, we always have to deal with an excess demand for loans because there are many people that want loans. But at the same time, also having to deal with defaulters is not easy as well, because we have a very data is not easily managed in this part. There's a lot of data, but it's not as structured or as clean as you would have it, elsewhere. So the repercussions for defaults are not as much here. So you're having to really be very creative in how we go after credit. And of course, like as with a lot of entrepreneurs, we're also managing people. Managing people in a tough environment where the price of something has doubled, in just a few months, and you have a plan. You didn't foresee that happening, right? So I think, those are just sort of the headline issues amongst many others. There's actually a couple of things to be excited about. I think that there is, maybe two things. One, a lot of people in fintech space, a lot of people are focusing on the unbanked and financial inclusion, which is fantastic. But I think, and we think as a business, that there's a lot of opportunity to provide a lot more interesting services to people that are already banked, because there's still a lot of things that we all need every day that we believe a lot of fintechs are not yet providing. So we're looking at really bringing some very differentiated services to the already banked population in the market this year. And I think, like most other fintechs, everybody has seen that there's a growing population of Nigerians living abroad as well. So there's increased need for more cross-border services, not necessarily because you want to help people relocate, but just people need to do transactions with their loved ones. People need to communicate better with their loved ones. So I think one of the insights that we have this year and going forward is there's going to be need to provide a lot of financial and non-financial services to help bridge that gap between Nigerians here and Nigerians abroad, because there are a lot of people that have relocated now. So also providing services in that space, something we're very excited about, and we look forward to sort of launching the market and hoping the market gives positive feedback. If I wasn't an entrepreneur, I would probably either be teaching or being consulting. Yeah.
Thank you so much for joining us today. And I just wanted to express my gratitude and our gratitude on behalf of, and appreciation on behalf of Endeavor Nigeria team to all the participants and the facilitators, and actually even making time today to spend the evening with us. Your participation and expertise went a long way. We couldn't have done it without you. The time you invested, our facilitators were pro bono, but we couldn't have done it without the Endeavor Network. And then the people that were dedicated to actually coming to the sessions and taking the sessions seriously, no shade to some people. From the programs opening in January and now closing off now in March, we've had impactful sessions starting with AWS talking about architecting for scale, to growth and expansion that was taken by one of our board members and entrepreneurs, to building and managing teams for scale by, again, one of our entrepreneurs, managing operations and building for scale, again, by one of our entrepreneurs. But we had financial and cash flow by our network member, Tim Tucker, but he gave us resources from Deloitte. Thank you so much for that. We had the culture and high growth for startups that was taken by Professor Ajayi, and we have his representative here. Thank you so much, Babatune, for coming. Today we're closing up, but we're not saying goodbye to you, but we just want to take some time to, we've never had this whilst we're having the sessions, but to galvanize yourselves a little bit more, so you know that you are a cohort. I have a couple of certificates for people that showed up. We hope that the sessions were impactful. They were impactful for me. I sat down in all sessions bar one, and it was life-changing for me. I hope it was the same for you and your businesses, and you're growing. And we're glad to be on your journey of growth with you, and we will continue to be here for you. Thank you so much.
Hi everyone, my name is Iriayo Oladunjoye. I'm the MD and CEO of Endeavor Nigeria. We have a number of entrepreneurs leading companies that in various sectors such as First Delivery, Logistics, RPass, simplifying online checkouts, Sycamore enabling peer-to-peer lending, SME lending, Trimango making travel more accessible to everybody in Africa. Cutstock, digitizing procurement for the construction industry. Jigo, creating mobility across the nation, the world, the globe, with electric vehicles. Simifex, they're providing identity verification, which is very, very important for compliance in the fintech industry. Tick Africa, modernizing event ticketing. Each of these companies are tackling specific market gaps that could scale, and that's what excites me about them. So Endeavor's broader mission is that we do believe that in underserved and emerging markets, there are talents spread across the world. We believe in building ecosystems that have entrepreneurs in it. The Scale Up program is actually supporting the earlier stage companies to build their trajectory to actually providing impact in different parts of the world. I would say to the next generation, build with purpose, stay resilient. Africa's challenges is where solutions lie, and that's where our future lies. Create innovative solutions for the problems that we have on the continent, and that would create lasting impact for all of us.